Hello and welcome to a very special e-press conference. Of course, in these times, we're no longer in the host city. Instead, we're being joined in New York, in Manchester, here in London, and in San Diego and Texas by the fighters, their teams, ahead of a huge night of boxing on December 19th, the battle for 168-pound supremacy against Canelo Alvarez and Callum Smith, live on DAZN. It's an honour to be working with Canelo Alvarez, Canelo Promotions, Eddie Reynoso and the team ahead of a massive event, December 19th at the Alamo Dome in Texas, San Antonio. Very few tickets still remain at Ticketmaster, and we can't wait. Well, let's start off by beaming straight to New York, where we catch up with Joe Markowski from DAZN. Joe, great fight and a big end to 2020.
Well, thank you, Eddie, and thanks to Canelo, Eddie and Chepo Reynoso, Callum Smith and Joe Gallagher. Let me be blunt, this is an incredible fight. The pound-for-pound king against #1 super middleweight in the world. At DAZN, we're incredibly excited and proud to be broadcasting our fourth fight with Canelo Alvarez, and the first of those fights to be featured on our soon-to-launch global platform. Canelo versus Smith, we broadcast exclusively live on DAZN in more than 200 markets and territories around the world. And our goal in launching around the world is to deliver the same value that we've been delivering in the US for the last couple of years. An incredible roster of fights at an incredibly low price. In the opening month of our operations alone, we'll deliver Anthony Joshua on his road to the undisputed World Heavyweight Championship, Triple G in a historic 21st defense of his middleweight world title, and Ryan Garcia in the toughest test yet of his career against Luke Campbell on the 2nd of January. All of that, all included in a very low monthly subscription price, with probably no fight more anticipated than this test between these two gentlemen on the 19th of December. We want to wish best of luck to both fighters and their teams, and looking forward to introducing DAZN to a new population of sports fans all around the world. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Joe. Look forward to catching up in San Antonio on Fight Week. Now we're going to beam over to San Antonio in Texas, where we'll be in a couple of weeks' time.
Thank you, Eddie. The city of San Antonio is extremely honored to have Canelo Alvarez, Mexican boxing superstar, back in San Antonio in the Alamo Dome on December 19th. City of San Antonio and the Alamo Dome are proud to partner with Canelo Promotions and Matchroom Boxing to bring this great match to our beautiful city and our iconic Alamo Dome. The Alamo Dome has a rich history of staging blockbuster fights. Canelo last fought in the Alamo Dome in April 2013, beating Austin Trout. Fans, you can do your part to keep fellow fans and staff safe by following mask requirements and physical distancing policies. And if you are feeling sick, please enjoy the event from the safety of your home. You can find more information on the Alamo Dome safety protocols and event-related details on the Alamo Dome website at alamodome.com. Thank you.
Can't wait to visit the Alamo Dome for the first time. Looks like an incredible place. We've been allowed 11,000 fans in there for December 19th. It's going to be great to see live fans back at boxing. We've missed it so much. We're now going to join Callum Smith's trainer, Joe Gallagher, live in Manchester. Joe, it's the big one. It's the one you've wanted for a long time. Why is now the right time for Callum Smith?
I wouldn't say it's the perfect timing in the pandemic that we're in, but it's a perfect opportunity and timing in retrospect as far as his career is. 30 years of age now, Canelo the same age, both coming off a year's layoff. And no, I just think it's a great time for Callum. I feel, okay, people might say about his inactivity the last 18 months and not making as many defences as he'd like to have since he beat George Groves, but it's also allowed his body fill out, mature, become a man. And like you say, we've got the perfect platform now, the right opponent to show everyone what I've said for many years, that Callum Smith is like the pound-for-pound #1 out of the UK.
Joe, we know 2020 has been difficult in terms of preparation for fighters in gyms and, of course, bringing in sparring partners. How's it been for you in preparation? Do you feel like you've had the right kind of camp for this kind of challenge?
Yeah, it's been a really tough time from a vast pool of talent where we most probably bring sparring partners in from America and Germany and Europe. We've not been able to do that now. Obviously, we've had a massive pool of talent now. We're down to a hot tub of talent, and not just getting any type of sparring partners, but sparring partners that can replicate things that Canelo does. That's been a hard job, and then also the training, the lockdowns, no travelling, all that type of stuff. So yeah, it's been very hard, and not only that though, the journey over there is even hard now that we've found out. We've got to go to 2 or 3 different cities before we end up there. So like I say, testing times, but full credit, and I keep saying it time and time again, for Callum Smith for taking this fight, especially when lots of people are saying, oh, we'll wait till there's a crowd, or I'll wait till next year. Callum Smith didn't say that. 4.5 weeks notice, I'll take him on, let's do it, and fair play to him. And regardless of all the logistics side of it, Callum Smith needs huge credit for taking on the pound-for-pound #1 in the world at short notice.
Joe, of course, you've been up close and personal with Canelo Alvarez before when Liam Smith boxed him for the world light middleweight title. What did you see that night, and what gives you the confidence that you believe that Callum can do the business on December 19th?
I think in that fight, the stuff that we worked on with Liam for Canelo, that Liam managed to get off well and do well, and I don't think Liam gets much credit for the performance he put in that night. What we were aware of that week is what a Canelo fight week is. Canelo fight week is like what a Floyd Mayweather fight week is. It's totally different to any normal fight week. But we don't have that this time. Obviously, there'll be some type of crowd, 15, 20,000, but not the 55,000 that was there with Liam and Canelo. And same again, 2 different styles of fighters. Callum Smith, 6'3", 6'4", Liam, 5'10". Yeah, I'm not reading much into that there. What we learned from that is what a Canelo fight week is. Just on the scales, how they just walk up, jump on the scales and walk off, where we're so used to ever being introduced to the scales, getting on and watching it. They just jumped on, jumped off, and that was it. And just little things like that we learned over there. But like you say, not reading much into that, but what we've seen was the size of Canelo. Liam Smith on the scales looked the bigger man, and then when we got in the ring on the night, when Canelo stepped into the ring shuddered, and we're just like, wow, someone had put a pump to him and blown him up twice the size he was from the day before.
Joe, I know on paper both guys have only had 5 weeks to prepare for this fight, but we know Callum's been expecting to fight in December. You're confident he's had enough time to prepare for this fight, and that come December 19th, he will be ready to take this moment and opportunity with both hands?
I'd say prepared to the best that we can be. Well prepared would be if we would have had the proper sparring partners, but I'm not going to sit here and start moaning. We've got a huge opportunity. Callum's got a huge opportunity to go in there and do our best. The flip side of it is, what I've noticed being in big fights, sometimes you can have 10, 12 weeks preparation. That's 10, 12 weeks of people wanting interviews, people coming around wanting tickets. The time you come around to fight week, you can be mentally drained from it. Because this is 4.5 weeks notice, that could work the reverse side. It's short, it's condensed, and it's crash bang wallop, and it's fight week and you're in the ring. So that side of it is most probably a plus side of it. And yeah, no, like I said, we've worked hard towards this, and it's a huge opportunity. It is, I stole a hashtag the other day, the world awaits. It is the biggest fight in world boxing, regardless of who's fighting. Since lockdown, it is. You got the pound-for-pound #1 in the world, Canelo Alvarez, against the #1 168-pound fighter in the world in Callum Smith, and we're really looking forward to it. And I can't wait to get in there for Callum Smith to show everyone what I've always thought he's capable of.
Thanks, Joe. Delighted now to be joined in San Diego by Canelo Alvarez's trainer, Eddie Reynoso. Eddie, welcome. How's things out there? Great to be working with you again. How's training camp going in San Diego?
¿Qué tal, Eddie? Pues un gusto saludarlos. Pues bien, estamos trabajando muy fuerte. Ya tenemos casi 4 meses preparándonos para este compromiso y pues prácticamente estamos a muy poco de estar al 100%.
Eddie, it's been a testing time in 2020, very difficult with bringing sparring partners in or preparing properly. How has camp been for you, and how confident are you that you would have ticked all the boxes in preparation for this big challenge on December 19th?
Pues más que nada cuidar mucho el campamento, ver quién entra al gimnasio, más que nada tener un equipo con el cual nada más estemos trabajando, no meter mucha gente. Ha sido difícil todo este año para nosotros, para todo el mundo, pero pues nos hemos mantenido en el gimnasio, nos hemos mantenido activos y es por eso que vamos a estar listos para el 19 de diciembre.
Eddie, this is a great fight, and the one thing that stands out in our conversations is that you didn't want an easy fight. You, Saul, the team, they wanted the challenges. Of course, previously you boxed Daniel Jacobs for his middleweight world title. Then you boxed Sergey Kovalev for his light heavyweight world title. And now you're fighting the #1 super middleweight in the world for his world titles. What is it about you guys? You love a challenge.
Sí, prácticamente cuando tienes al mejor boxeador del mundo hay que demostrarlo con los mejores rivales para llegar a ser nombrado el mejor peleador del planeta. Creo que no es fácil, hay que pasar por muchos obstáculos, hay que ganar peleas, hay que ganar campeonatos. Siempre nos han gustado los retos, es por eso que Saúl está en el lugar que está y pues ahora ya que estamos instalados en ese lugar tan privilegiado, vamos a seguir trabajando y vamos a empezar a hacer las cosas todavía de mejor manera y claro, buscando los mejores oponentes, las mejores peleas para seguir en el lugar que estamos.
Eddie, what are the challenges ahead facing Callum Smith? We know he's the WBA super champion, he's the Ring Magazine champion, obviously has a big height advantage, he's a fantastic puncher, particularly to the body as well. What are the big challenges for you going into this fight?
Pues más que nada es un buen peleador, es un peleador que ha enfrentado a buenos rivales, es campeón de la Asociación Mundial de Boxeo, es campeón de Ring Magazine, ganó la Copa Mundial de la categoría, entonces es un peleador que tiene más que nada un gran equipo de trabajo también, es un peleador que sabe pelear a la distancia, que es un peleador fuerte, un peleador que tiene muy buena mano izquierda, es más alto que Saúl, entonces tenemos que trabajar muy enfocados de hacer bien las cosas porque enfrente tenemos a un excelente peleador y creo que la pelea es de riesgo como hay muchas, pero enfrentar este tipo de peleadores pues son los que nos motivan más a seguir trabajando mejor y a hacer mejor las cosas.
Eddie, we know that Canelo Alvarez has been on Callum Smith's radar for a long, long time. How long have you been watching Callum Smith and how long has he been a target for Team Canelo?
Pues prácticamente lo tenemos desde que subimos a las 168 libras. Ahí empezaron a surgir nombres como Callum Smith, Billy Joe Sanders, Benavides, Caleb Plant. Son los mejores boxeadores que hay en la división. Creo que el mejor en la división de esos que te nombré es Callum Smith, es por eso que nosotros optamos por ir por él. Entonces en el radar ya tenemos pues más de un año que lo tenemos en el camino. Yo realmente no pensé que fuéramos a pelear con él en diciembre, pero pues la pelea se dio y estamos listos.
Eddie, of course, Saul's fights recently have been across many different weights. Middleweight, light heavyweight, now super middleweight. Where do you feel his optimum weight is, or is it just a case of willing to take all challenges in all divisions?
El peso óptimo de Saúl son las 168 libras, es donde llega mejor físicamente, no se desgasta para marcar a las 168 libras. Creo que ya lo demostró. Vamos a hacer campaña como se los he dicho anteriormente y nuestra idea es unificar los 4 campeonatos del mundo en las 168 libras.
Eddie, one of my favourite fighters, Julio Cesar Martinez, who we worked together on, back out December 19th. One of the most exciting punchers, pound for pound in boxing right now. How excited are you for his future? And of course, victory on December 19th will lead to big unifications in 2021.
Sí, realmente Julio César Martínez es un muy buen boxeador y ha tenido, va por la tercera defensa del campeonato mundial y creo que va a ser muy interesante verlo también en la pelea de Canelo. Creo que es un boxeador mexicano aguerrido que le gusta a la gente y pues esperemos que siga creciendo como hasta ahorita y llegue muy lejos en el boxeo.
Thanks, Eddie. We've heard from the trainers now. Now it's time to hear from the fighters ahead of this huge clash. Now I'm delighted to say we are joined here live by the reigning WBA Super Ring Magazine World Champion, the #1 super middleweight on the planet, Callum Smith. Callum, welcome. Everybody else had to do it via Zoom. You've had to join us in here, so sorry about that, but welcome. Massive opportunity, massive moment for you. Everything that you've achieved, we know you've been looking for the big challenges. Doesn't get any bigger than this.
No, definitely it's a huge opportunity, but an opportunity I feel I deserve. I've worked hard to get to the position I am. I'm ranked #1 in the world, and I believe I deserve to be here. And once become a world champion, I set my sights on the biggest fights possible, and I've managed to land the biggest one possible for me in my weight division. He's a top fighter and someone I'm looking forward to sharing the ring with, and I believe how good he is will show me how good I am.
Obviously, when you won the World Boxing Super Series, beating George Groves, you won the Ring Magazine belt. You went out, you had 2 defences, Hassan and Dam, John Ryder, but I always got the feeling that you were motivated for those fights, but it's not what you wanted. You wanted the opportunity to test yourself against the very best, and a great fighter in Canelo Alvarez should be a tough challenge.
Yeah, definitely tough, the toughest one possible for me at the moment, but like I said, the minute I become world champion, I wanted the biggest fights possible, and I didn't want no routine defences, no man-to defences. I wanted to fight the best. I wanted the unifications or the superstar names, which Canelo Alvarez definitely is. So, listen, I'm up against it, but I've always said the better the opponent, the better the performance from myself, and I think I've shown that throughout my career. Every time the chips have been down, I've always delivered, and I feel this one will be no different.
Negotiating this fight with these guys, one thing that reigned through was they really believed they'd beat anyone. You know, I know they had opportunities for easier fights, but they just wanted to fight what they perceived to be the best in the division, which is you. You know, we saw them take the challenge of Danny Jacobs, take the challenge of Kovalev. Do you think they look past you, or it's just belief in themselves that they think that they are the #1 pound for pound on the planet and quite literally can't be
definitely.
beaten?
I think exactly that. And I think the position he's in, the superstar that he is, people demand the biggest fights possible. And I think he's shown throughout his career he hasn't really ducked anyone, whatever weight he's gone to. He's always fought the top fights at that time, and I think he's showed, like I say, in my opinion, the toughest fight at 168. I believe I am the best in the world. All the rankings put me as #1. So on paper, I am the toughest fight for him, but it'll be a good fight stylistically. I think we gel pretty well, and I'm looking forward to it. This one does excite me. This is a fight that really does excite me, and the thought of losing always motivates me and drives me more. And I'm the underdog in this fight, but I definitely believe I beat him. I'm confident in my own ability. I know how good I am. I know how good I can be, and I believe December 19th I'll still be a world champion.
Obviously, I said to Joe earlier, you know, that in terms of preparation, you have seen him up close. Joe's seen him up close against your brother, and no better person to give you, you know, the rundown and the ins and outs of the style of Canelo Alvarez. How's preparation been for this camp? A lot of people look at it on paper and say, well, these guys have only had 5 weeks, but we know you were planning to fight in December. Nothing's ideal at the moment, but you do have key people in that camp that can really help you in this particular fight.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, nothing's ideal. Ideal would have been announced 12 weeks ago, and I'd have had 10-week camp for Canelo Alvarez, but I was training anyway. I've always said I live a good life. I'm always in and around the gym, and 4 weeks notice, but 4 weeks where I'm in okay shape to just tailor it towards Canelo Alvarez. Now, listen, if I didn't believe I'd be in good shape come December 19th, I would have turned it down and planned on securing a fight next year. So, listen, I've got no excuses. I'll be in very good shape, and yeah, my brother Liam, he's been in with him, and as much as you can watch someone over the years on video or whatever, it's always different being in with them. And Liam has been in with him. He knows, he's seen him up close. He knows little things he does very well and stuff he feels I can capitalise on. And I've picked his brains even before this fight was even made over the fight, and more so throughout camp. And he's with me every day in the gym. He watches the spars, and him and Joe both give me advice, and I believe he'll come up with a good game plan, and provided I can stick to it and use all my ability, I definitely believe he'll pull it off.
And finally, we know you've achieved so much. Obviously, you know, turned pro with us. You won the English title, the Commonwealth title, the British title, the European title, WBC International Silver, WBA Super, Ring Magazine belt. But this is something beyond that, isn't it? This is about cementing your legacy as a true great of British boxing. Yeah,
it becomes, you're at this level, it becomes more about the belt, less about the belts and more just about being in the biggest fights possible and career-defining fights. And a win over Canelo Alvarez will top anything I've achieved so far. And the goal was to become world champion, but like I said, once I'd done that, I set my sights on the biggest fights possible, and this definitely is that, and it's an exciting one.
Well, thank you, Callum. We'll see you out in San Antonio. Big opportunity for you. Go and grab it with both hands. The champion, Callum Smith, and now we go over live to the challenger in San Diego, Saul Canelo Alvarez. Saul, thanks for joining us in San Diego, and great to be working with you again ahead of this big challenge. We've seen you continuously face the champion, and now you face the #1 ranked fighter in the 168-pound division, Callum Smith. How ready are you for this challenge?
Hola Eddie, un gusto estar contigo nuevamente y pues listos para esto.
Saul, we know you had a lot of options to fight in December, but why take this challenge? Why continuously test yourself against the best in the divisions?
No, porque es lo que me gusta, ¿no? Me gustan los retos y esto es lo que me genera a mí una motivación, ¿no? Los retos, lo que me genera un problema arriba del cuadrilátero, lo que me gusta y eso para mí es lo más importante, ¿no? Porque al final pues quiero hacer historia en este deporte y hay que enfrentar a los mejores que andan por ahí. Y así que por eso estamos en este gran reto. Esta próxima pelea es un gran reto para mí, es una motivación grande para mí también y estamos listos para pasar este otro reto.
Right here in Callum Smith, we have a huge 168-pounder. What do you see as his biggest strengths and what weaknesses will you look to exploit on December 19th?
No, es un peleador alto, obviamente es una ventaja para él. Y aparte es un peleador fuerte, también inteligente, ¿no? Que sabe lo que hace arriba del cuadrilátero. Eso lo hace un poco más peligroso, pero pues obviamente en el nivel en el que estoy me tengo que adaptar a todos los estilos y a todas las estaturas. Así que sé lo peligroso de mi rival y estamos conscientes de eso, pero estamos listos para asumir este gran reto.
I know that you feel that Callum Smith is the best 168-pounder in the world, but why the desire to fight him? Is it the WBA Super Championship or is it that special Ring Magazine belt to prove that you are the number one in the division?
Pues sí, mira, para mí es el mejor en las 168 libras, está catalogado como el número 1 en el ranking mundial en las 168 libras, así que pues sí, estoy de acuerdo en que es el mejor y por eso a mí me motiva muchísimo, ¿no? Me motiva muchísimo porque es un gran reto para mí y pues es seguir haciendo historia en el boxeo, que al final es lo que quiero, es lo que amo hacer.
We know that Canelo Alvarez events are always huge occasions, thousands of fans in attendance. How proud are you to have live fans back at this show in Texas? You've boxed at the Alamo Dome before against Austin Trout. Should be a great occasion and so important for the sport to bring fans back to these huge events.
Así es, ya peleé una vez ahí en el 2013 y fue una experiencia muy bonita ante la gente de Texas, siempre lo es. Y pues ahora tener, aunque sea pocos fans ahí en la arena, pues me pone muy feliz, ¿no? Para volver a empezar a reactivar el boxeo con gente y que la gente disfrute de grandes peleas.
Sal, you've been world champion in 4 different divisions now. What is it that keeps driving you on for these challenges? And what is the goal? Is it to be undisputed in the division or is it just to continuously test yourself against the very best?
Eddie y yo como equipo nos propusimos unificar en las 168 libras y pues este es el primer paso para hacerlo, ¿no? Entonces estamos muy motivados y a corto plazo esa es la meta.
Callum, I know at this level it's difficult to make predictions. Have you got any for the fight or you just believe a Callum Smith victory? Do you believe you can stop Canelo Alvarez? We've seen him got a great chin against the likes of Gennady Golovkin and your brother and Danny Jacobs and Kovalev as well. Do you think you have the size and the power to get him out of there inside the distance?
Yeah, most definitely. I think obviously he's shown he's very durable. He's shown a great chin over the years, but I think you've always got to believe I've got the power to hurt anyone, whether that's Canelo Alvarez or any other 168 in the world. So I believe I can hurt anyone, but I think I'll go in there with a good game plan, listen to Joe, work on the tactics, and I believe I win. I believe December 20th I wake up still a world champion.
And Canelo, finally, great talking to you. Do you have a prediction for the fans? Going to be around 11,000 joining us at the Alamo Dome and watching on DAZN around the world. What happens on December 19th when you fight Callum Smith?
No, va a ser una gran pelea sin duda, ¿no? Porque tengo un rival muy fuerte, muy inteligente arriba del cuadrilátero, pero obviamente me visualizo ganando, haciendo una pelea muy inteligente y obviamente ganando ese otro título, primero Dios. Muchas gracias a todos, gracias a ustedes y si Dios quiere nos vemos el 19 de diciembre para que vivan una gran pelea y gracias a todos por allá.
Well, you've heard what they've had to say. You've heard from the fighters, the trainers, Joe Markowski from DAZN. What a fight this is set to be. December the 19th, after a rough year for everybody and a rough year for all sport, boxing leaves on a high. A fantastic fight between Saul Canelo Alvarez and Callum Smith for the WBA Super and the Ring Magazine World Championship, the battle for 168-pound supremacy. These are the kind of fights that are so important for boxing. We can't wait for a huge night, a huge event, live on DAZN, December 19th, Alamo Dome in San Antonio. We'll see you there.